Carlos Tite comes into this fight with a 23-1 record and is the hometown hero of Hammond, Indiana. He was a high school wrestling champion and is now nicknamed The Force. His biggest victory to date was a decision win over Vampire Johnson for the Indiana State middleweight title. He later becomes a car salesman and boilermaker, and he runs unsuccessfully as a Republican candidate for the Lake County Council in Indiana in 1986. Now, the visiting opponent here is Don Golden Boy Lalonde. Lalonde is in his fourth year as a pro, and this marks only the second time he has fought out of his native Canada. He's still 3 years away from getting some national exposure when he knocks out Eddie Davis for the vacant WBC light heavyweight title, and then later gets a very high-profile fight against Sugar Ray Leonard. So coming into this fight, he's still an unknown. He has the reputation of someone who has an unorthodox style that taunts his opponents. In the pre-fight build-up, there was a lot of trash talk between the two. Lalonde said, quote, "It'll be fun for one and through and two." And during the pre-fight instructions, you'll see Lalonde taunt Tite by saying, "I'm sorry you'll have to lose."
On the face of Carlos the Force Tite, and look at Lalonde. Wow. Case of a knockdown, there'll be a mandatory 8-count, 3 knockdowns in 1 round in the battle, and you can't be saved by the bell except in the last round. Let's have a good, clean fight. Go back to your corners. Let's wait for the bell. All right. Yes. There's some feeling and some emotion in the ring. There is 24-year-old Don Lalonde from Winnipeg. 26-year-old Carlos Tite from Hammond, Indiana, fighting as super middleweight. And here we go. Scheduled for 10. Oh, boy. Donnie Lalonde does not like Carlos Tite, and Carlos Tite does not like Donnie Lalonde. It's that simple, folks. So you'll see some true aggression act out in this ring.
Donnie Lalonde refuses to let Carlos Tite get inside. Tite wants to get inside and bang the body.
The rancor aside, technically the way this fight sets up is the jab of Lalonde, very important. He's landed it early. He wants Tite on the outside of those punches. Tite, who landed his own left hand, would like to use his left jab to work his way in and fight off Lalonde's chest.
Don Lalonde has a big scar on his left shoulder. He suffered a shoulder separation playing hockey at the age of 17. He's had 2 shoulder operations, 1 last year. He has some limitation in the mobility of that left hand.
Well, he's got it in an awkward position right now, way out far in front of him. And I've never seen anybody hold his arm like that in a boxing ring. Very strange, but he's landing the jab on Tite when Tite comes in.
Most of Don Lalonde's fights have been fought in Canada. He's fought twice in South Dakota. His only loss was to Vampire Johnson, which he avenged, knocking the Vampire out a couple of months afterwards. The only loss for Carlos Tite was to Kenny Whetstone. He, too, avenged that one by knocking out Whetstone in a rematch. We're midway through the first round.
Early in this fight, Lalonde using his height and reach advantage very effectively, throwing the jab and the straight right hand in, keeping Carlos Tite at bay and off balance.
Now you might ask, why would Don Lalonde come down from light heavyweight? He is ranked number 3 in the world by the IBF among the light heavyweights, but he felt he needed the exposure here in the United States, wanted a national TV showing, and he's got it here, showing us an awkward style.
He is awkward but effective is the way they describe him. He is a boxer, it's just that he's an awkward boxer. And another reason for him to come down to this weight is, if he wins here tonight, he may fight Murray Sutherland for the IBF super middleweight title. In fact, the winner of this fight is likely to get that.
A very nice performance, I think, thus far in the first round by Carlos Tite. He has not let any of the mimicking and walking by Lalonde face him, and he landed a big left hook. Lalonde says, "I'm not hurt." There's 25 seconds to go in round 1. Tite has been very patient.
Here's where the small ring comes into play. He's able to pull Lalonde around into those ropes.
Final seconds of the first round. Our main event is scheduled for 10. Don't go away.
Well, Don Lalonde trying to intimidate Carlos Tite a little bit at the beginning of the ground, probably because Tite tried to intimidate him just before the fight began.
None of that to start the second round. Just boxing. Carlos Tite in the purple trunks. In the gold trunks, Don Lalonde.
Lalonde is able to land the left jab and the left hook almost at will against Tite. But Carlos Tite has a good chin. He's very difficult to discourage. He fought Kenny Whetstone. Tite did with a broken jaw for seven rounds. And that's no hype.
And he fought Bill Bradley with a broken hand for 5 rounds when he won the Indiana middleweight championship. I'll tell you something. I'm looking at Don Lalonde. He's taking a lot of deep breaths. I wonder if he's still suffering from some nerves here.
I agree with you 100%. This is an all-important fight to him, and I think he is still a little bit tense and tight, but he's not fighting badly.
Glancing left hook scored for Carlos Tite.
You know what? Don Lalonde has the physical stature and boxing ability to win a decision in this fight. It's up to Carlos Tite to land his shots and get inside. And this ring, which is a small one, doesn't hurt Tite. Good combination.
Oh.
He hurt Carlos Tite.
Tite backs off.
Trouble.
And another good left score for Lalonde. He's scoring all out. Tite is wobbly, and down he goes. And he is badly cut over the right eye. The count is 8. Tite is up at 9. He has a terrible cut. Lalonde now mimicking, instead of getting down to business and trying to close the show. Tite is hurt again.
He better punch. He better flank.
Tite is cut over both eyes.
Carlos Tite in all kinds of trouble.
This fight is almost over. This fight is seconds away from being over as Tite goes down again.
That should not be a knockdown.
It is ruled a knockdown. The count is 8. It's all over.
Well, very strange goings on in that ring.
Mike DeFavis stops it. A vicious cut over the right eye of Carlos Tite. He was clearly knocked down once. The second knockdown, a questionable one. But Tite was cut over both eyes. Bad one over the right eye, another one over the left. Donnie Lalonde had predicted a second-round knockout. It happened.
He said he would have fun in 1 and Tite would be through in 2. He told us that earlier. That's what happened. Let's look at it. You will see as you look at Carlos Tite. Here's the first knockdown. At this point, Carlos Tite was hurt with a counterpunch by Lalonde. The right and the left hurt him. Now, Lalonde landed some good shots on the ropes. He put his punches together extremely well. Carlos Tite never been a good fighter off the ropes. And it's the problem, man. The uppercut, this is the punch that really hurt him.
Look at those shots.
And at this point, Carlos Tite in very bad shape. But watch this. Is this a knockdown? Let's take a look. Tite in all kinds of trouble, but it would appear that he's pushed on by Don Lalonde. Now here, Lalonde pushes him down.
Yeah.
Not a knockdown, which makes the stoppage of the fight controversial. Even though, as we look at it, even though it seems unlikely Carlos Tite was going to weather this storm.
Well, I'll
see it again.
He got up. Mike DeFavis, the referee, gave him a close look. He
Yes,
looked at
he
both
did.
cuts. There are
Indeed.
cuts over both eyes. Tite had been hurt badly, and Tite has left the ring already. A very, very disappointed Carlos Tite, a very happy Don Lalonde, and I think I really don't disagree with him stopping the fight at that point. It was a hurt Carlos Tite, badly cut, and that knockdown notwithstanding, I think the move was right.
I think the only thing that makes it controversial is that second knockdown wasn't a knockdown, so that when he stopped it, some people might question it.
Let's go into the ring to Stu Goldner, and he will give us the official time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner by technical knockout at 2 minutes, 58 seconds of the second round, the Golden Boy, Don Lalonde.
Well, if there was any question about Don Lalonde, he's answered it.